Avengers Infinity War, all 19 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies ranked from worst to best. Avengers Infinity War is released this weekend, but how does it rank among all 19 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies? Critics have seen the ultimate accumulation and crescendo of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Avengers Infinity War, which releases this week. But where does the epic stand among a decade of its predecessors? Having rewatched every MCU movie in preparation, it's time to rank them from worst to best. But be warned, while there are fan consensus positions, some will be more controversial, but hopefully well defended. 19. The Incredible Hulk, 2008. The Incredible Hulk is what even Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige says he regrets when kicking off Phase 1 of the franchise. It's the awkward one with the actor, Edward Norton, who didn't reprise the role for Avengers Assemble 4 years later in 2012. Instead, the Hulk is now played by Mark Ruffalo, who really should have been chosen in the first place. The Incredible Hulk really is utter pants, and there's no desire of ever revisiting it. It's not that the cast are bad, it's just a big, dull, humourless, CGI fest which struggles to be carried along by the Hulk himself, following the similar problems with Ang Lee's Hulk in 2003. 18. Thor, The Dark World, 2013. A favorite to hate among fans, Thor, The Dark World is often at the bottom of these MCU ranking lists, and rightly so. Following the usual darker sequel mantra, Marvel decided to hire a Game of Thrones director to ride the popularity of HBO's R-rated fantasy epic. The result? A boring, grey, humourless entry that even villain Christopher Eccleston recently described working on as a gun in your mouth. 17. Avengers, Age of Ultron, 2015. A bit mean to be ranked this low? No, Avengers, Age of Ultron deserves this position. The problem is a similar one to that of Thor 2. Both are the darker, murkier sequel, both are dull in parts, and both feel like, well, a bit of filler with some Infinity Stone teasers that won't be relevant for another 3 years thrown in. To be fair though, there are some great scenes like who can lift Thor's hammer. It's also as crucial a rewatch as Captain America, Civil War before Avengers, Infinity War, because there's a lot here that to be refreshed on. Still, it did become the 5th highest grossing film of all time. 16. Ironman 2, 2010. It's easy to hold Ironman 2 in contempt. Sure, it meanders in a filler kind of way and continues the franchise's weak villain problem, but Robert Downey Jr.'s constant charm holds everything mostly together. If anything, Iron Man 2 is when the MCU's world building really started. With Avengers Assemble 2 years away from this film's release, it really feels like Marvel know where they are going now. Nick Fury, Black Widow, and Agent Coulson are established, with the latter having to head off to literally be in Thor, the next movie. We also saw Easter egg glimpses of the events of the Incredible Hulk and a map of Black Panther's Wakanda in one scene. Iron Man 2 isn't a great MCU movie, but it certainly isn't bad. 15. Thor, 2011. Directed by Kenneth Branagh, easy to forget he helmed an MCU movie. Thor is a fun fish-out-of-water romp, with not a whole lot at stake. Perhaps it feels dated now in the wake of the quirkier entries in the franchise, but you couldn't help thinking that this is like an extra-long episode of the televisual agents of SHIELD. Still, it's a decent setup for the character and Tom Hiddleston's Loki pre-Avengers. And not sure why Branagh chose so many diagonal camera shots, but they somehow work. 14. Doctor Strange, 2016. While the MCU went cosmic with Guardians of the Galaxy, it opened up whole new realities with Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange. Hello the multiverse and time travel. It's a pretty solid effort as a solo movie and certainly is entertaining, just a shame the villain's a bit meh and Tilda Swinton's whitewashed mentor is still, well, pretty awkward. Look forward to Doctor Strange's role in Avengers Infinity War, especially now Bandersnatch Cummerbund has revealed he's one of the only cast members to have been allowed to read the whole script. 13. Captain America, the First Avenger, 2011. Steve Rogers' first outing boasts the most impressive supporting cast of one-off characters in a Marvel movie: Hugo Weaving, Tommy Lee Jones, Stanley Tucci, Dominic Cooper, Richard Armitage, and even Jenna Coleman for like 10 seconds. It's also easy to forget how weird Chris Evans looks when he's skinny Steve Rogers. That visual effect is not going to age well. And while the Red Skull is probably one of the franchise's better villains, this is one of the duller, perhaps too serious entries. It's hard to compare now, seeing the wilder and wackier ways the MCU has evolved, but a solid enough flick nonetheless. 12. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, 2017. Following directly on from its predecessor, Guardians of the Galaxy Vol 2 is an even more colorful and zany outing, although perhaps doesn't quite have the same surprising freshness the original did. The Kurt Russell daddy issues' plot is a little on the creepy side, but that's made up for by that tearjerker of an ending. More Sylvester Stallone in Guardians 3, please. 11. Ant-Man, 2015. Ant-Man is solid summer blockbuster fun. In a way, it's a solo movie reboot for the franchise after a few weird darker sequels. Sunny, light-hearted, and cartoonishly humorous, this is one entertaining heist caper. Paul Rudd and Michael Pena are just so damn likable, while supported by the exceptional talent of Evangeline Lilly and Michael Douglas. 10. Iron Man, 2008. Robert Downey Jr.'s big comeback, a film that's now a decade old and where the MCU all began. Distributed by Paramount, pre-Disney buying Marvel Studios, this is a very unhouse of mouse entry. Weirdly realistic and a far cry from the cosmic colorfulness of Guardians of the Galaxy, to the point where it feels almost like The Dark Knight in tone. No, really. A satisfying and impressive origin story. 9. Black Panther, 2018. Following Thor Ragnarok, this is another prime example that Marvel can again and again keep their franchise fresh 10 years and 18 movies in. Action-packed, funny and with huge cultural significance, Black Panther is the James Bond of Marvel movies, just as producer Kevin Feige and director Ryan Coogler set it out to be. However, talk of 2-1 2019 Best Picture Oscar odds is a little over the top. Black Panther is a solid entry into the MCU, but it's no Citizen Kane. 8. SpiderMan Homecoming, 2017. This might just be the greatest Spy-Day movie to date. Rich in comic book colors, this high school romp is one of the funniest and most charming movies in the MCU. Throw in Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark for good measure and it's sorta Iron Man 4. Plus that Michael Keaton Vulture reveal on prom night is one hell of a twist, so much so that it prompted spontaneous applause at the critic screening. 7. Thor Ragnarok, 2017. It's easy to say Thor Ragnarok couldn't be more different to Thor, the Dark World. Gone is the dull, uninteresting grayness, as a colorful, wacky, and hilarious follow-up arrives thanks to Taika Waititi's zany improv. Check out our 4-star review from last year here. 6. Iron Man 3, 2013. Phase 2 kicked off with this surprise billion-dollar hit. Iron Man 3 is funny, charming, filled with blockbuster action and not afraid to develop Tony Stark's vulnerability and emotional side. And Sir Ben Kingsley's Trevor Slattery reveal has to be one of modern cinema's biggest and most hilarious twists. 5. Captain America, The Winter Soldier, 2014. Perhaps the most adult MCU movie to date, Captain America, The Winter Soldier takes classic 1970s conspiracy thriller tropes to the next level. It may be a more serious Marvel movie, but it's certainly not dull like Thor, The Dark World. Amazing action and a twisty plot produced one of the best-loved entries in the MCU to date. Interestingly, directors Joe and Anthony Russo said it acts as the first part of their trilogy, expanded in Captain America, Civil War and to be concluded in Avengers Infinity War. For Avengers Assemble, 2012. After 5 movies, Marvel Phase 1 ended with the ultimate crossover, something that had never been seen on this scale at the cinema before. In 2012, Avengers Assemble, or just the Avengers outside the UK, went on to gross over $1.5 billion worldwide, becoming the third highest grossing film of all time, although now pushed into 5th place thanks to Star Wars, The Force Awakens and Jurassic World. But does it still live up to the hype? Certainly, Marvel fans often rank it among the best, or in fact the best, of the franchise to date. It's just as thrilling as remembered on this rewatch, although it perhaps meanders a little in the middle with some dialogue-heavy scenes. Nevertheless, the climatic Battle of New York is still flipping epic. 3. Captain America, Civil War, 2016. Marvel Phase 3 kicked off with this epic spectacle, acting as a sort of Avengers 2.5, with the only thing that actually stopped it being an Avengers movie being Thor and Hulk's absence. Nevertheless, Captain America, Civil War is still so much better than Avengers, Age of Ultron. Continuing on from director Joe and Anthony Russo's phenomenal Captain America, The Winter Soldier, the Cap/Bucky dynamic continues. But all the while seeing the Avengers divided, something Marvel boss Kevin Feige says needed to happen to heighten the stakes for Avengers Infinity War. Gosh, they plan ahead, don't they? The film is masterfully combining serious action/drama and emotionally charged character development with Marvel's usual light-hearted humor. Oh, and let's not forget it introduced Spider-Man and Black Panther, wow! 2. Guardians of the Galaxy, 2014. When the first promo posters were released, the media ran headlines like, "Has Marvel gotten overconfident?" Of course, without context, this ragtag team of misfits, or interplanetary unusual attacking team according to the literal Chinese translation, looked like it could be Thumku's first flop. But the result? The best Marvel movie ever, although now topped entering all-time greatest films lists, number 34 in Empire's Top 100 public poll, and a lovable comedy chubster turned A-list action star. Major kudos to director and writer James Gunn for his colorful space opera action, zany humor, and arranging the unforgettable 70s soundtrack. Just goes to show it's worth taking a risk, Hollywood, you might just produce gold. 1. Avengers Infinity War, 2018. Yes. It's gone and done it. Avengers Infinity War is the best, and that's not said lightly. Check out our spoiler-free review to get a feeling of why here. Avengers Infinity War is released in UK cinemas tomorrow.